top of the table over in the Premier League as Manchester City still lead Liverpool by just 1 point. Is it their title to lose, or can Liverpool snatch it back? We'll take a little look next. Today we look forward to match day number 33 over in the Premier League, and we'll get to that in just one second. If you're new, where you been, smash your subscribe to get back to the all things Rovers related, Premier League related, woo, football related. We got it all here, boys. Under one Rooski. Of course, it was billed as the game of the season, of course, the biggest game of the season as well, and it ended up all square, which leaves us as we were last time around. We'll take a look at what else has gone on in the table in just a second. Of course, big shout out to my VIPs. They're the patrons, guys. They give a love, of course, behind the scenes. You know who you are. But anyway, let's jump in the deep end, of course, revisit to the results, of course, before we kick on forward to the next round of matches. So these were the games coming at you right here, right now. Brighton, big win for them over Arsenal, 2-1 win for them, denting Arsenal's hopes for top four. Meanwhile, Norwich, big win for them down the foot of the table, 2-0 win over them, six-finger freakazoids. Burnley. That's right, of course, Southampton got, they were also a six-fingered handing by, of course, Chelsea, 6-0 in the end. Leicester City, 2-1 win over Crystal Palace, we called that one as well. Look at me, I'm looking pretty good here. Watford, of course, got spanked by Leeds, 3-0 at Vicarage Road, which looks like they're going to go down at the moment. Man City, of course, 2-2 against Liverpool, called it, lads, absolutely called it. Meanwhile, Everton, 1-0 win over Manchester United. Didn't see that one coming either. Villa got spanked by Spurs. Brentford, a 2-0 win over West Ham. And Newcastle, what a 1-0 win over Wolves in the end. What's that done to the table? Well, this is what it looks like right here, right now. City, of course, 74 points. Liverpool are 73 points. When I looked at the remaining fixtures, as much as I want Liverpool to win this title, I think they've got the more difficult games than Manchester City. So I don't think... I'd love to see Liverpool win it, but of course I don't think they will. I think City are going to take the title when I looked at they've got Man United to play, they've got Arsenal to play. I think they've got Arsenal to play. They've definitely got Spurs to play. Spurs and Man United, of course, and Everton. 3 monster games right there, and look at Man City's. I think they've played all the big games really, but they could get a little bit complacent and maybe slip it up as well. Meanwhile, the race for fourth looks like it's going to be Spurs to lose, even though Arsenal do have a game in hand. They also have to play each other, of course, which will be very, very fruity as well. Meanwhile, down the foot of the table, big result for Norwich, of course, are trying to save their season. Burnley still actually 5 points, 4 points adrift of Everton at the moment, but yeah, it's still anyone's guess as to who's going to go down. I think it is Watford, Norwich, and one of Everton or Burnley. So it's going to be fruity for me as a Rovers fan. I think that Burnley will probably go down. If not, Everton are going to go down and make it a bit very, very spicy as well next season. So whatever's going to happen, it's going to be a good championship next season, of course, with one of those guys back in there, from my point of view. This is, of course, the Prediction League. Take a little look. Master Fighter, 6 points there. Max Singadi also 6. And Vinny Hong also 6. And well done to you. And, of course, big shout out to the Chasing Pack, kicking ass and taking names all the way down there, even with a couple of guys getting with just 1 point. How about the mini leaderboard then, chat, shall we? This is, of course, from January onwards, and it's Imano Says 3 points for him. Max Singadi, of course, in second, and Worst up into bronze, of course. That's the mini leaderboard. Of course, we'll have the master leaderboard at the end of the month to see who's actually kicking ass, and of course, on their way to becoming champion. Of course, this is, of course, the link if you want to get involved. Cut the 4 Premier League is free. Of course, just get your name in lights there. Of course, it just makes things a lot easier when we do the prediction leagues. Of course, I don't want to be adding them up one by one like I did a couple of seasons ago. Oh my God, that was brutal. Anyway, these are the games. Of course, we're going to take a look, of course, at the weekend, and of course a bit more than that, because it is also FA Cup weekend over in England as well, and of course Easter weekend as well. So there's a lot of there's only actually 6 games this coming Easter period over in the Premier League, but of course it stretches right around the corner, wrap around all the way through to Wednesday or something like that. So we're going to take a look at the games then, shall we, and predict all of them as well. So kick it all off with Southampton up against Arsenal, coming at you at St Mary's. Of course, let's get in the deep end on this one now. Coming at you on the 16th of April. Now these two sides played each other 48 times since 1993. 9 wins to Southampton, 26 wins to Arsenal, and 13 draws. Southampton, though, they had a right old stinker right now. 8% form for them. Haven't won in the last 6 games. Meanwhile, Arsenal were 1-3, lost 3 of the last 6. Coming to this on 50% form. Just 1 win and 4 for them over in all competitions and all venues as well. Last time around, though, at St Mary's, it was a 3-1 win for Arsenal. Back in, of course, January 2021. The reverse fixture was a 3-1 win for Arsenal. Back in, of course, the Emirates. Back in, of course, December this campaign. 6-0 it was for Chelsea over Southampton. Last time around, Arsenal with a 2-1 loss against Brighton. Of course, both sides coming to this on the back of losses. The odds for this one, 3-1 is your Southampton, 11-10 odd is your Arsenal, and 13-5 is your Joker. I'd love to see Southampton get back to it anyways, but I don't think it's going to happen this time around. 2-1 win for me for Arsenal for this one. Take it to the house. Meanwhile, down at Vicarage Road, Watford up against Brentford, of course. Played each other 8 times, these two sides. 3 wins for Watford, 2 wins for Brentford, and 3 draws, of course. Just 1 minute 6 for Watford right now. 25% form up against the Brentford side, winning 4 of the last 5. 6% form, of course, over the last 6. Last round, though, over at Vicarage Road, it was a 1-1 draw back in December 2020. That was in the Championship. The reverse fixture, of course, at Brentford, of course, was a 2-1 for Brentford back in, of course, December. Watford with a 3-0 loss against Leeds. Last round, back-to-back games now without a goal. Meanwhile, Brentford with a 2-0 win over West Ham, scoring now 6 goals and conceding just the 1 over the last 2 games. Meanwhile, the odds for this one, then, shall we? We have Watford 70-10, the 23-10 is your draw, and 31-20 is your away winner. Is Brentford on this one? Tight, airtight, could go either way. I'm going to go with a 1-0 win for Brentford because they got the tail up here, and Ericsson has been pulling the strings and looks the real bloody deal once again. Manchester United up against Norwich, of course. Let's take a look at this one over at Old Trafford. Now these two sides, of course, played each other 19 times since 1993. 15 wins for United, 3 wins for Norwich, and 1 draw, of course. United, though, just 1 win and 6 for them, 33% form up against Norwich side. Back-to-back games now without a loss, 25% form for them heading into this game. Last time around, though, of course, over at Old Trafford was a 4-0 win for United back in, of course, January 2020. The reverse fixture over at Carrow was a 1-0 win for United back in, of course, December as well. Meanwhile, kicking off forward, of course, United picked up a loss against Everton last time around. That means the last win was against a 3-2 win over Spurs. Meanwhile, of course, Norwich with a 2-0 win over Burnley, back-to-back clean sheets for them heading into this game. Looking at the odds for this one, then, shall we? 4-1 on is United, 11-2 is your draw, and 9-1 is your Norwich. I'd love to say Norwich will win this game, but I think they'll get a bit of a tonk in here. 2-0 win in the end for United to take the 3 points and, of course, keep them in the mix for Europe next season. Next up, of course, we have Newcastle United against Leicester City coming at you on Sunday, April the 17th. That's Easter, of course. Played each other 33 times in 1994, 13 wins to Newcastle, 14 wins to Leicester, and 6 draws. Of course, 3 wins and 3 defeats are the last 6 for Newcastle right now. 50% form up against the Leicester side, of course. Unbeaten last 4, 50% form also. 1-2 and lost 2 and drawn 2 heading into this game. Last time around, though, at the St James's Park was a 2-1 win for Leicester back in, of course, January 2021. The reverse fixture, of course, 4-0 win for Leicester back in, of course, December this campaign. Of course, Newcastle with a 1-0 win over Wolves last time around. Leicester with a 2-1 win over Crystal Palace, and are also in action, though, midweek against PSV Eindhoven to get closer to maybe the semi-finals of the Europa Conference League this campaign. Let's take a look at the odds then, shall we? 65 is your Newcastle, of course. 25 is your draw. 23-10 is your Leicester City on this. 2-1 win in the end for the Geordies here to take the 3 points, of course, dent Leicester's hopes for another repeat of making Europe this campaign. Spurs, they'll be taking on, of course, Brighton coming at you on Saturday, April the 16th. Now these two sides, of course, played each other 13 times, 2005. 10 wins to Tottenham, of course, 2 wins to Brighton, and 1 draw, of course. Spurs, though, look red hot right now, winning 5 of the last 6, 83% form for them right now. Up against the Brighton side, back-to-back wins for them. Of course, 25% form heading into this game. Last time around, of course, over at the Fancy Pants Stadium was a 2-1 win for Tottenham, of course, back in November 2020. That was in the league. They also played each other at Brighton, of course, in Brighton, back in, of course, March 2022, not too long ago, actually. It was a 2-0 win for Spurs back in the day. They also played each other at in February at Tottenham, of course. It was a 3-1 for Spurs in the FA Cup. Goodness gracious me. So this is the third time. Is it the third time? The third time they played each other this campaign, but this time it is over back in London in the end. Meanwhile, of course, Spurs with the 4-0 win over Aston Villa. They've scored a whole shit ton of goals in the last few games. I'm counting, what am I looking at? 14 goals the last 4. 14 goals at the last 4. 14, what did I say there? Did I say 14? 14, 19... 21 goals the last 6 games. Goodness gracious me. Meanwhile, of course, Brighton with the 2-1 over Arsenal last time round. The odds, though, for this one, then, shall we go? Spurs 58 on for the 3-1 draw, and 11-2 is your Brighton on this one. Spurs will win this one, won't they? 2-0 win for them. Not too crazy, but just enough to get over the line in the end. West Ham United up against them. 6-finger figures always coming at you. That's Burnley, of course, at London Stadium on 17th of April. Played each other 23 times, 2003. 12 wins for West Ham, 6 wins for Burnley, and 5 draws, of course. Just 1 win and 4, though, for West Ham right now. 58% form up against Burnley side. Just 1 win and 6 for them to a 70% form heading into this game. Last time around, over at the London Stadium was a 1-0 win for West Ham back in January 2021. The reverse fixture at Turf Moor was a 0-0 draw back in, of course, December. West Ham unbeaten against Burnley over the last 3 occasions. Meanwhile, West Ham did lose to Brentford last time around and are in action against Lyon in France coming at you on the 14th of April. Meanwhile, of course, Burnley coming to this back at that 2-0 loss against Norwich last time around. The odds, though, for this one we have, what do we have here? West Ham 10-7 on for the 14-5 shot, and 4-1 is your long shots. The Freaks, indeed. 3-1 in the end for the Hammers to take it to the house. Wow, well, that's, of course, the weekend's action, and we're now going to go into the midweek. Of course, some Brucey bonuses here with, of course, Liverpool up against Manchester United. A bit of a zinger chicken dinner, so let's get into this one. We will have basic odds, I think, if we're lucky, but not much more than that. So let's get the deep end now, shall we? Liverpool, who are in action against Manchester City in the FA Cup, but of course taking on United on the 19th of April over at Anfield. Now they played each other 67 times in 1994, 22 wins for Liverpool, 31 wins for United, and 14 draws. Of course, Liverpool, though, unbeaten, of course, the last 6 games, 92% form for them. Up against the Manchester United side, of course, won once the past 6 before this, of course, fixture list right here, right now. 33% form heading into this game. Last time around, though, over at Anfield, it was a 0-0 draw back in January 2021. The reverse fixture this campaign was a 5-0 win for Liverpool over at Old Trafford back in, of course, October this campaign. I think Ollie was at the wheel then, wasn't he? Of course, 2 2-2 draw for Liverpool last time against Manchester City in the Premier League. Meanwhile, Manchester United did lose to Everton last time around. However, this is where it gets complicated and a little bit spicy. So Liverpool taking on Benfica tomorrow, of course, and they also taking on Manchester City on the weekend. So before this game, they're going to be playing twice. A very busy schedule for Liverpool, but they're anticipated to beat Liverpool. They're anticipated probably lose against Manchester City, but of course, what they're going to do against Manchester United, who bloody knows? Of course, Manchester United taking on Norwich as well, expected to win that game as well. But I'm going to go. There's no odds here. I've got nothing for you to tell you, but I'm going to go with a 2-0 win for Liverpool again over the line, get the 3 points, and of course move the bloody chains. Next, of course, we have Everton. They are up against a double match week for them. Is it? No, up against Leicester City, double match week for Leicester City, of course, going to Goodison Park as well, also midweek next week. So let's take a look at this one then, shall we? Played each other 33 times and 94, 10 wins for Everton, 9 wins for Leicester, and 14 draws. Of course, just 2 wins out of the last 6 games for Everton right now, 33% form. Up against, of course, the Leicester side, 1-2 lost to and drawn 2 of the last 6, unbeaten the last 4, 50% form, sorry, for them heading into this game. Last time around, of course, over at Everton, it was in the Premier League back in January 2021. It was a draw, of course, last season. They haven't played each other, of course, this campaign. This will be the first encounter, so they'll have to play each other again, I believe. Coming at you though, Everton did pick up 1-0 win over Manchester United, of course, and are in action not this weekend. Meanwhile, of course, Leicester City with a 2-1 win over Crystal Palace. They'll take on Eindhoven, of course, this weekend, as well as Newcastle before locking horns with Everton. It's complicated matters, absolutely complicated matters, of course. So between then and now, a lot of things can happen between for Leicester, injuries, suspensions, all that kind of stuff. But a busy week for them to maybe make up some ground. Of course, no odds on this one. I do think Everton are going to win this game. Unfortunately, 1-0 win for them. Of course, which will drag them clear of the relegation zone, putting a bit of pressure on Burnley as they take on Southampton. We'll talk about that game in just a second. So big win for Everton, I expect, on this one. Meanwhile, of course, Chelsea will lock horns up against Arsenal, of course. Chelsea in action, very, very much so, over the next few days as well, with Champions League, FA Cup as well. So these two sides, of course, locking horns on the 20th of April at Stamford Bridge. Played each other 76 times in 1983, 27 wins for Chelsea, 29 wins for Arsenal, and 20 draws, of course. Arsenal, though, 1-3, lost 3 of the last 6, of course, in action against Southampton when they're expected to win, up against the Chelsea side, of course, who were not in action in, of course, the Premier League, but are in action between now and then in a couple of games as well. They are 67% form heading into this game, of course, in all competitions. Meanwhile, of course, last round over at Stamford Bridge, it was a 1-0 win for Arsenal back in May 2021. The reverse fixture over at the Emirates was a 2-0 win for Chelsea back in, of course, August, match number 2 it was. Meanwhile, Chelsea with a 6-0 win over Southampton last round. Of course, Arsenal with a 2-1 loss against Brighton, but they, of course, expect to bounce back against Southampton this coming weekend. Of course, Chelsea up against Real Madrid tonight. Of course, by the time this video goes out, this, of course, will probably be after the fact. Of course, then they'll take on Crystal Palace this weekend, and of course, they're expected to beat Real Madrid tonight by the bookies' odds, which is strange. Then they're expected to beat Crystal Palace as well. So, but of course, I think they might expect to beat Real Madrid in 90 minutes, but I think they won't have enough in the tank to get that. But anyway, that's just my take on it. Meanwhile, of course, Arsenal with expected to take on Southampton and win that game as well. No odds on this one, but I do anticipate Chelsea to get the win here, 2-1 win for them, to make it a hot and cold week for Arsenal and an okay week for Chelsea as they make a push to remain in top 3. Meanwhile, the Geordies, they're going to be taking on, of course, Crystal Palace, back-to-back home games, of course, following on from the Leicester City match. They'll be taking on, of course, Crystal Palace coming at you this weekend at St James's Park, coming at you on the 20th of April as well. Now, these two sides played each other 24 times since 1984, 30 wins to Newcastle, 5 wins to Crystal Palace, and 6 draws, of course. Newcastle are winning 3 and losing 3 of the last 6, 50% form against Crystal Palace side. Just 1 defeat at the past 6 as well. They're also in action in the FA Cup, so no other games for Crystal Palace to look forward to, bar the FA Cup. Meanwhile, the Geordies are hot on the trail, of course, picking up a win over Leicester, according to my eyes. Last time played each other, of course, at St James's Park. It was a 2-1 for Palace back in, of course, February 2021. The reverse fixture at Selhurst Park back in October was a draw, 1-1 in the end. Of course, Newcastle with a 1-1 win over Wolves, of course. Leicester with a 2-1 win over Crystal Palace last time around. Meanwhile, of course, Leicester City are going to be taking on Newcastle last time this coming weekend, and of course the Geordies are expected to win that game. Meanwhile, of course, Crystal Palace are taking on Chelsea in the FA Cup and expect to get battered a little bit by them as well. No odds for this one though, but I do anticipate a tight game, 2-1 win though for Newcastle, take the 3 points and of course keep the dream alive. Next, of course, we have Manchester City up against Brighton. Of course, the one and only Premier League game over the next week or so, up against, of course, a Brighton side, of course, who are in action against Spurs this weekend. Now, these two sides, of course, played each other 11 times, 2008, 9 was for Man City, 2 was for Brighton, and of course 0 draws as well. Man City, though, unbeaten in the last 6, 75% form, of course, heading into this game as of recording. Up against Brighton side, of course, back-to-back games for them, 25% form heading into this game. Also, last time around, though, over at Man City, it was just a 1-0 win for Man City back in, of course, January 2021. The reverse fixture at Brighton was a 4-1 win for Manchester City as well. Of course, coming at you the last time around, Man City did pick up a draw against Liverpool. They are in action against Atletico tomorrow night, of course, so this video should be out by then. Meanwhile, of course, Brighton are up in action against Spurs this weekend as well. Meanwhile, Man City will take a hosting Liverpool in the FA Cup. Part 2 of course, the double-headed weekend for them, as, of course, the two juggernaut Stockhorns for that prize as well. I do anticipate whatever goes on elsewhere, of course, to not really affect this game. I do anticipate Man City to win this one comfortably 3-0 in the end to take it to the house. And then wrapping up, of course, it will be the Freakazoids. Their double match week for them up against Southampton this time around. Though, over at Turf Moor. Of course, not the best week, I don't imagine, for Southampton. Of course, losing to Arsenal in my eyes. Up against the Freakazoid scene, who will lose to Spurs. To lose to West Ham this coming week. But anyway, these two sides of Lockhorns are at Turf Moor on the 21st of April. Of course, 24 times they played since 2005. 7 wins for Burnley, 8 wins for Southampton, and 9 draws, of course. Just 1-6 though for Burnley right now, heading into this game, of course, before anything has been happening over here. Meanwhile, Southampton, 8% form for them, also without a win in at least the last 6 games. Last time around, though, over at Turf Moor was a 1-win for Southampton back in September 2020. The reverse fixture at St Mary's was a 2-2 draw back in October. Of course, the Saints did get a bit of a battering against Chelsea. Of course, the Freaks got a bit of a battering against Norwich last time around, and I've got no odds for this one, so we're going to go with my gut. My gut says it's actually going to be a win for Burnley here, 1-1 for them, and maybe keep that relegation race hot on trail, of course, of Everton after picking up a 1-0 win over Leicester City. That's, of course, my take on it. Be sure to get your own take on it as well using the link Kelly4Premier League. That is it. But until then, boys, smash your thumbs up, please. It does wonders for the old algorithm. Smash your subscribe if you're new. Check out the links down below on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook. Also check out the links for the Patreon if you're interested, and please drop a comment, of course, if you've got time, as it does also wonderful for the old algorithm. But that is it. Premier League is starting to heat up a bit at the top and at the bottom, of course. Extended match week right here, right now. But until then, guys, we're done for this.